You guys, this is crazy. But first, welcome back to Educating Houston. Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, what we're going to cover today is a possible 2022 housing market crash and how new home builders are leading the way to a potential crash. So I want to cover some really interesting things. I'm going to take a look at a couple things. I want to look at an article, first of all, to kind of just give you a premise for what is going around in the media, what a lot of people are saying as far as the housing market. And then we're going to actually look at some data that I've been collecting and that I've been watching as far as what's going on in my local area. Now, we're going to take a look today in Texas. Now, predominantly in Houston, Texas. Now, I'm from Southern California, so I've been in the wild, wild west. I went through crazy housing market swings. I know what the crash is like. Currently, I'm a realtor and loan officer out, and actually an instructor provider as well for TREC. So I know a lot about real estate, and I want to take a look at some points that are actually kind of worrying me. Now, here's the thing. We're going to take a look at this article first of all. So let me pull this up right now. Now, this is from Community Impact newspaper, okay? Now, look at the title here. It's Texas Housing Market Establishes New Normal After Pandemic Housing Frenzy. Okay, now here's what I think it's important that to note here. Now, a lot of these news articles are saying that, supply is going up and things are balancing out, which is true. The supply is going up, but it should be going up. The supply of homes should be going up right now because it is going into the winter months. So quite frankly, there should be supply. But what I find interesting is, let's just read this article a little bit more. Now, look at what it says. Okay. Now, housing prices and supply are beginning to return to a more steady level after a year-long hectic housing market climate with skyrocketing prices and little supply, experts said. Okay, so we all remember as soon as we got out of COVID, everyone wanted to buy a house, right? So this is saying that there's less of those buyers and that they've basically purchased. Now, look at this. A number of indicators shows that Texas housing market frenzy is over, said Louis Torres, a research economist for the Texas Real Estate Research Center at Texas A&M University in a November 9th news release. So a professor at Texas A&M is saying that the frenzy is over. You guys, I'm going to disagree with that, but let's just continue. Factors such as depressed mortgage rates, more people preferring to buy homes, lessening pandemic effects on home buyers, federal government transfer payments, and the continued suspension of student loan debt payments are keeping demand strong. Home sales are increasing as supply also increases. There is roughly enough supply for home buyers after more than a year of buyers frantically buying houses in a market where housing prices are over 30% higher statewide than 1 year ago, according to data from the Research Center. Now, look at this. This is interesting. Now, first of all, basically what this is saying is because all of the, there's no more of the handouts, the pandemic is lessening, mortgage rates, free money, all of these things, because those things are, essentially not happening right now. What this article is saying, because of that, it's going to be a stabilized housing market, and also because there's a 30% increase already, which is going to basically normalize into that 30% increase and basically stabilize the market. But here's one thing that is concerning. There's still not enough inventory. From what I can see, there is still not enough inventory. Let's go on to check out this article. What I didn't realize here is in Texas, Austin, as you can see here, these are the home prices. Like this is over 300,000 right here. So Austin is shot up, and here's the quarters and the years. I'm in Houston, the green line. So the green line has been a lot more stable, it looks like, which is nice. But Austin is shot up there, and it looks like it may be balancing out right now. But this is very interesting. Let's read a little bit more here. Okay, so the new and pending home listings. So the new and pending home listings indicate the supply of homes for sale is continuing to grow, Torres told Community Impact newspaper. Although the supply is beginning to meet the demand again. Okay, that's key. The supply is beginning to meet the demand again. This was written November 9th, which is about 2 weeks ago. Housing prices and supply will even out and increase at more normal and healthy rate. It is highly unlikely the value of homes will depreciate back to pandemic levels, he said. So he's not, here's what's important and what I like that he's covering. He's not anticipating a crash. He's basically saying it's going to stay 30% and it's going to balance out. Things should go back to normal. But I like how he's pointing out that he's not necessarily saying that there's going to be a market crash here. Now, let's keep going here. The strong activity within the housing market has reached a peak. So now the market is returning to a more normal level, Torres said. To give an example, imagine you're driving 120 miles an hour. You max out at this speed and then return to 70 to 80 miles an hour. You're still driving fast, but you're no longer at such a high speed. Now, here's what's really cool. Let's kind of break that down. Because I think what he's saying is very important. And I think that if those were the factors alone that he mentioned, I think that he has a good point. And I honestly think that we would be gradually kind of balancing out in a housing market. I really don't personally feel like there's going to be a housing market crash necessarily, but I want to take a look at one thing that is happening. Now, first of all, again, his point is it's a new normal. These prices are going to be high. Call it inflation, call whatever you want. Things are more normalizing, but he does mention a little bit about that the supply is meeting the demand. Now, here's what I want to show you guys. I want to show you guys what the new home builders are doing. Now, in Texas, new home builders are a big part of the real estate. And what I'm saying is a 10 to 15% increase in the listing prices as compared to resale homes. So the new homes are selling, new construction 10 to 15% above the market. And here's the craziest thing of all. They're selling these homes. So these homes are going under contract. And I really want to point that out right now because it's got to be a supply and demand thing. So I think that there's still a supply and demand issue. I think that there should be more inventory right now because of the winter months. I don't think that there's enough inventory as normal. So I think that there is going to be a supply and demand issue for a little while longer. And I think what's going to happen is the new home builders are essentially taking advantage of that and they're raising prices. So let's take a look at this next. All right. So here's all of the houses that are on the market and pending. Okay. So this is in Kingwood. Now, the criteria for my search here is just basically a single family residence that has 4 bedrooms. Now, if you look here, there's basically with 4 bedroom characteristics, there's more stuff under contract, a lot more stuff under contract and pending than there are options. There's still not a lot of options in Kingwood. Okay. Now check this out. Let's zoom in. Now towards North Park, this is a new builder here. Now this new builder, look at how much they're selling this for. Look at this, $356,000, okay, for a 2,700 square foot house. That's crazy, guys. About 2 years ago, I purchased a roughly 3,400 square foot house in there for $300,000. This is only 2,700 square feet for 356. This is crazy. And look at this, $423,000 house, only 2,700 square feet. $423,000 house, 2,700 square feet. Here's what's really crazy, guys. These houses are not even done being built. Now check this out. Here's another new home builder. And you can see here, let's get a new home build. Okay. Look at it. This is pending. This is already pending, $475,000 for 3,700 square feet. That seems more reasonable. But what you're saying is, and let's go a little bit south here into the Groves area by Atascocita to look at these new home builders as well. I think it's really interesting to point out because there's a lot of new home builders right here. Okay, look at these prices. Now keep in mind, this is pending, guys. This is under contract. Some of these aren't even built yet. This is a home for 2,400 square foot home. So that is pending and it has a listing price of $385,000. Okay, $385,000 new build. Look at that, all over the place. $560,000 new build. 3,300 square foot house. 3,300 square foot house, 560,000. This is crazy. And the craziest thing of all, these are selling. So not only are these a lot higher than the resale, like if we go, let's click a resale. Look, this is $400,000 house, 2,400 square foot. Okay. Let's see, this is 400. Let's see if we can find anything over here. 2,400 square feet for 355. I mean, this is absolutely outrageous. The Groves, a lot of new builds there. You guys check this out for yourself. I'm mainly looking at Kingwood, Atascocita, Humble, but because there's a lot of new builds there. But there's also other places that there's new builds. Now here's the thing. What I think is happening is the new builders. Yes, I understand their supply and demand issues, and more importantly, I understand that there's inflation issues. But I believe even though there's inflation issues, the new home builders are taking advantage of the supply and demand. And I guess in good business, I guess you're supposed to do that. But what I'm curious about is, how long is that going to last? How much longer are people going to be purchasing homes at 10-15% above resale price? There's, as you can see here, there's still not a lot of options. If there's not a lot of options, people are probably going to pay 10 to 15% above what they should for something that they want. So that's what I'm really seeing right here. And that's what I think is going to be, really potentially dangerous, because if a lot of people start, if there's still a lot of buyers and a lot of pumped up buyers that can't find anything because there's still not a lot of inventory, they're going to start buying all of these new builds, and it's going to in turn raise the value on all the resales. So all of the equity is going to start going up. And if all of the equity starts going up and there's still the same amount of buyers, the same amount of transactions, but now prices are 10, 15, 20% higher another year in 2022, I think it could get crazy. I think it could get really bad. So I think what it's really going to depend on is how dramatic that happens, how dramatically that goes up. So if it only goes up a little bit, I think it's going to be fine as far as the equity going up. But overall, I think these new builders are going to sell these houses. I think the question is going to be how quickly can they sell them. I think they're going to be selling them well into 2022, and I think that's going to again raise the prices on everything else. But the question is, how quickly will everything go up, and will it start another frenzy? And I believe if it starts another frenzy, we're in trouble, and it can potentially have an effect where a new housing market crisis happens and a housing market crash happens. However, I think there's going to be enough factors in play that it's just going to level it out and it's going to balance it out. And what the new home builders are going to do is they're going to sit with inventory eventually towards the end of 2022. I think they're going to start sitting with inventory and they're going to start lowering their prices, because I think what will happen is with the interest rates potentially going up in 2022, it's going to drop prices. It's going to slow down the buying. Plus Zillow is unloading houses and things like that. So I think overall, I think you buy right now. I think that I don't think that we're going to have a housing market crash. I think it's going to balance out. I think maybe we'll see 5 to 10% declines. But I think if you're in a good area and you're even buying right now, I think you're still safe as long as things don't get out of control, as long as there's not another frenzy and people aren't selling for outrageous prices. So I think you guys are still safe. But watch these new builds. And again, it is possible to lose 10, 15% if you are buying this new build. But my overall advice is it's usually better than renting. Rates are still low, and get in while the rates are low. Other than that, guys, that's my breakdown here of a housing market crash and how new builds are going to affect that. I hope you guys enjoy. Subscribe to my channel. As always, thank you for tuning in.